And this is Dana Hooper, Executive Director of Life Services Alternatives. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'd like to take a moment to give you a little background behind the Community Integration Training Program. In 2013, we opened our Cypress home for young adults transitioning from their family homes to living in the community. Our residential program was targeted at developing skills so that the individuals would become more independent over time. The CIT program is a non-site-based program that was developed with these same goals in mind. The program is open to all who are qualified and includes a number of LSA residents as well as people who are coming from other living situations. We launched it in the fall of 2013, and we're very proud to talk about it today as it has evolved over time. I'd like to introduce our next speaker, Cindy Hill.
Hi. Hi, everyone. My name is Cindy Hill. I'm a program director with LSA. I've been with LSA for almost 2 years now, and I oversee the CIT program and some level 4 residential programs as well. Prior to LSA, I have over 40 years experience running day activity programs and opening and running homes and overseeing the quality improvement of residential facilities. It's been my pleasure to work with CITP. I think that CITP is very unique in that it's completely community-based and there aren't that many programs like ours in Santa Clara County. Now I'd like to introduce Abigail Diaz.
Hi everyone, my name is Abigail Diaz. I've been a part of LSA for about 7 years now. Prior to my administrative position, I was a CITP staff with a group, and I also enjoy overseeing the program now and continuing to be a part of the new challenges in my duties.
Okay, so LSA's mission has always been to provide exceptional residential and day activity programs for adults with disabilities. The people that we serve value community integration, and that's what we offer. The CITP program is completely community-based.
Our CITP goals is to provide meaningful activities designed to develop and maintain work social and recreational and functional living skills. Our goal is also to improve our everyday, look at new opportunities, and also provide experiences that create memories at the CITP that the participants can grow and independent, make themselves more independent and in the community as well.
So in line with that, our values include dignity, involvement, and quality. We respect the dignity of our employees, the people that we serve, and their families. We have mentored people to grow in their careers and in their lives. We've seen a lot of growth with the people we serve over time. We encourage family and community involvement through our volunteerism and through special projects like the Art of Inclusion project, during which participants were partnered with high school students and an art teacher, and they created art projects together, which they then showed at the Triton Museum. The CITP enjoys an excellent reputation with San Andreas Regional Center, and we strive to maintain and improve our quality on an ongoing basis. So the Community Integration Training Program, or CITP, is open to qualified adults with special needs. The program fills a need in the community where adults leaving traditional education and moving to more independent pursuits. So what we're finding is that when people are leaving their high school program, they are less likely to want to go to a program where they're going to sit in a building all day long. They really want to be out and about and doing meaningful activities in the community. So we develop opportunities to develop their skills through volunteer work. Our staffing ratio is primarily 1 to 3. If the team feels that a one-to-one staffing is needed for some particular reason, we are also vendorized to do one-to-one services. We have many opportunities for different types of activities, including landscaping services, using computers, auto detailing, retail assisting. Our program is independent of our homes and our residential programs. Approximately at this time, I'd say 50% of our participants do live in our homes, and the other 50% either live in their own home, their family's home, or in another licensed day residential service. We focus on activities to develop independence and choice making, self-advocacy, healthy lifestyles, budgeting, use of public transportation, and much more. This slide kind of illustrates for you that we have an experienced staff for this program, that you can see that many people, Abby's been with us for 7 years. Many people have been here for 3 to 5 years. You can see we have a couple new hires. We brought on several new participants this last year, which meant we needed to hire more staff. So for every 3 people that we bring on board, we hire a new staff, and we have new opportunities for people.
Here's a list of our volunteering sites, and we go to the Santa Clara Senior Center, where we have different task areas where we can serve meals, clean up, and help out in the kitchen area as well. We have the West Hope Church, where we have landscaping, gardening, and indoor cleaning as well. When the weather permits it, we work mostly outdoors, and when the weather is pretty bad, we go indoors and have different tasks to do there. At the Agnes Museum, we've been there for a while now, since we opened the CITP program. And what they do there is also some janitorial work, some cleaning, some gardening as well. At the Trident Museum, they have several tasks, which are yard working, outside, also office work, cleaning, and also putting away items that are, because they also have a setting for them to have parties or something like that as well. And the Hopkins Library branch, they have cleaning and distributing books inside the shelves and dusting the shelves. And at the Family Giving Tree, they do organizing, packaging. And at the Milpitas Food Pantry, they do also organize items in the pantry, the gardening, and some cleaning as well. Our skill building activities include gardening, landscaping, organizing, packaging, stocking, office tasks, serving meals, and janitorial duties.
So all of our participants in the CITP have their own goals and objectives. From From CITP, they have opportunities to build social relationships with each other and with members of the community. Through their volunteerism, participants learn to give back to their communities. During leisure activities such as swimming, walking, and gym memberships, participants increase their health and fitness levels. Those who are interested in paid employment can explore job opportunities, resume creation, and work on their interview skills. The 1-to-1 staffing ratio makes it, 1-to-3 staffing ratio makes it possible to create a program that's individualized for every participant. And travel training is one of our focuses that we began last year and that we hope to continue when they let us travel again.
For our program outcomes, we have independence, which the participants have gained a lot of skills and knowledge from their staff that work with them side by side to become more independent in their volunteering sites and duties. Our next one is interpersonal relationships. They enjoy group activities that give each participant a chance to be surrounded by their favorite people and peers involving in the community. Our next one would be our work experience. Participants are always learning new things they didn't know they could do and enjoy being a part of the experience, developing new skills as well. Their leisures are enjoyed by spending time in the activities of their choice and their interests, which eventually become either hobbies or daily activities as well. Personal health, they have the chance to be a part of the community in a gym membership or having choices being outdoors or indoors as well.
So what you see on your screen would be an example of a daily schedule. We provide our own transportation, so the instructor is either going to be picking the participant up at their place of residence, either using a CITP vehicle, or perhaps that group uses public transportation around 9 a.m. From 9 a.m. moving forward, they'd probably arrive at whatever volunteer site they might be working at that day, approximately 10 a.m. And they would do a couple hours of volunteer work, after which they would have lunch somewhere in the community based on the group's choice. They choose their calendar a month in advance. After lunch, the group would either participate in a health and fitness activity or a leisure activity that they have chosen in advance. And that could be going to the gym or other fitness activities, going swimming, walking at the track, or it might be shopping, other things, going to a park. And at the end of the day, then they would return home using our transportation. Monthly group activities are chosen. Each group takes a turn choosing what the monthly activity would be, and that goes on the calendar. All the groups like to come together periodically to have something fun to do.
Here's an example of our monthly schedule. And normally our monthly calendar is designed in advance by the instructor and the participants in particular groups. The monthly calendar is turned into myself or me, and I review and approve prior to the month it is made for. Our group activities like a monthly barbecue could be added on, or a trip to Santa Cruz, or when our special holidays come around, it could be decorating a Christmas tree at downtown San Jose, or it could be a luncheon at a a buffet or something like that. And they really enjoy creating these calendars and knowing what to expect on their monthly activities.
So these were the goals that we had set for our program for 2020, and you can imagine that COVID-19 has sidelined some of these goals. When we get back to normal, we hope to be able to pursue these again. We're always looking for new volunteer sites based on participants' interests. Some of the new people who have joined as participants in the last year have a lot of interest in art and different types of activities. So we're looking for volunteer sites that suit them. We are increasing our focus on public transportation use. Last year we had the public transportation, they sent a trainer for us, and they trained our instructors to go out and use public transportation so that then we could be trainers for our participants. We want to maintain and increase our monthly get-togethers that the groups choose on their own. And those are always a lot of fun and something that people look forward to. In the pictures there, you can see on the bottom, that's a picture of our holiday luncheon. And up above, I believe that's a picture of one of our barbecues. And we're always looking to include newer learning activities to help participants be fully integrated into their communities. Along that subject, here's a little update on what we have been doing because of COVID-19. We've had some challenges, as you can imagine. Everybody has to stay at home, and we've been working very closely with San Andreas Regional Center and the Department of Developmental Services to come up with a new plan to provide remote services for at least this period of social isolation. We're lucky in that 50% of the participants live in our homes, so we've been able to reassign some of our staff to work in the homes with them. And of course, the activities are now different. The curriculum, as opposed to being out in the community all day long and doing volunteer work, we're being challenged to come up with activities that they enjoy doing in their own homes. And to give you a good example, one home is really into gardening, so they've been doing a lot of gardening activities. They've been doing exercise routines in front of the television. They have been doing a lot of tabletop games and art. The third person in that group actually lives in his own home, and he's been able to participate with them in some of those activities by using electronic devices and programs like Zoom or FaceTime. For the people who do live in their homes, we have been working with their families or their care providers to reach them in other ways, either using a telephone, Zoom calls, FaceTime, etc. And we've been pretty successful in being able to meet everybody's needs during this really trying time.
Thank you, Cindy, and thank you, Abby. Before we take questions, I'd like to share some really good news. We're excited to announce that our $30,000 board match has been met. We deeply appreciate the generosity and the support from our board, as well as from all of those who matched their contributions. COVID-19 continues to cause extra expenses for us, as well as hindering the opening of our 2 new homes. Your continued support is greatly appreciated. LSA values and hopes that you and your loved ones will continue to stay safe and healthy. And we look forward to getting back to business as usual with involvement from families and from others in the community. And now we'll take questions. Thank you again.
Great. Thanks, ladies, and thank you, Dana. We are going to open up our Q&A session now. We've just had one question come in. It was answered privately, but I think we're going to answer it live. Before we do, I've just launched a poll for everyone and anyone who wants to answer a simple question. Just what's of most value to you? What do you want to hear about next? What is it that LSA can talk to you about or explain more on? And then we also want to hear if you have any other suggestions. You can fill it out in the chat, of course. But this poll that we're taking, we would just want to hear the room, get a feeler out. So let us know. I'll give a few minutes for that, and then we'll start our first question in Q&A. Okay. Chat. And in our Q&A, one of the first questions that were asked, and anyone can answer, but I think maybe this will be a good one for you, Abby. Can you please explain what activity occurs at Emma Prush Park?
At Emma Prush Farm, we usually do outdoor activities, meaning we can do gardening, yard work, feeding of the pets, if they allow us on the day that we go. And normally it's outdoor landscaping as well.
Okay, great. So I hope that answered your question. This next one's coming from Lynn Rogers, and she's put it in the chat here. She says she wants you to comment as to the value of the Triton project, and I'm assuming this project is the Art of Inclusion. So Cindy, do you want to talk a little bit about that project?
Sure. And that wasn't strictly a CITP project, but a lot of our CITP participants participated in it. So it was open to people in our residential programs as well. What happened was that we had an opportunity to pair the participants with high school students who needed volunteer hours, and they came together in couples and at the Triton Museum, where there was a classroom provided for them. Walter Mitty's school provided the students and the art teacher, and they created at least 2 art projects together. And I saw a great value of the relationship that developed between a person with a disability and a teenager. I thought was invaluable and was really wonderful to watch. And after the project was over, then there was an auction at the Triton Museum that was very lovely, and a lot of the students and their families and the participants and their families came, and the artwork was auctioned off. So I think it was a great way to bring two different types of people together, 2 different populations, and help them build relationships.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Cindy. And I just want to reiterate again, this will be recorded and posted later today on various platforms, but mainly on our YouTube channel. And we'll be able to send out, if you make sure that we have your email address, but we'll be able to send it out to all the attendees for sure that are here today, and look for that.
Adia, can I make just a comment on that program? So, I mean, with all the feedback we've gotten, we consider the program to be an overwhelming success. And we would definitely are planning to do it again. We've had some conversations with another high school who would like to participate. And we've submitted some grant proposals, hoping to get funding to even broaden it. But it does, however, kind of fall into that, area of how big of a shadow will COVID-19 have, and how might that impact our ability to gather in the fall. So stay tuned on that, but we would love to be doing it again and doing it on possibly even a bigger scale.
Okay, and we have a few different questions that have come in on our chat, and I just want to reiterate the best place for questions for us to make sure that we get to everybody is on that Q&A side. But we're hearing some wonderful and seeing some wonderful comments for sure. Claudia wants you to know that she met some of us at the PHP fair earlier this year, and that it's good to see us here, and that Dana is a hero, by the way. So that's always nice to hear. It's a bit of encouragement. If you do have questions, like Deborah here, and I'm gonna read her question. But if you do have questions here, we want to make sure we're putting it in that Q&A button. So I'll read this one from this panel, and then I'll flip back over to our Q&A. Deborah wants to know what is the best way to transition from a traditional day program on site to a community-based day program. And Cindy or Abby, I think Cindy's probably the best one for this. I'm sorry if I'm wrong. Why don't you go ahead and answer that question?
Well, anybody who wants to join our day program needs to go through their service coordinator, of course. Usually the process is we get a phone call, somebody's interested, we will invite you out to see the program. Abby's always there to show you around, and we can show you some of the different sites where we volunteer, and you can see it for yourself. And then if the potential participant seems interested, they sometimes come and spend a day or two with us just experiencing the program to see if they would like it. And then of course, everything goes through the service coordinator. So if you were at that point, you were interested in changing programs, you would do that through your service coordinator.
Great, and I think that answered Claudia's question where she was asking about what the application process is for CITP. So I'm gonna go ahead and mark that as answered. But we also have a few other ones here. I'm just gonna go through them. So Claudia also asked, my son is in post-secondary, having finished 12th grade last year. He's in a pretty terrific program. So is the CITP for after he is 22 years old, or is an alternative for where he's at? And this is more personal nitty gritty, but I think it's a good question for everybody to answer. So Cindy, do you mind answering it for us?
Yes, generally we actually work with those school transition programs, and in general, people come to us when they graduate at 22 from those programs. We've had a lot of interest this year we've gone to speak to the transition programs and to the families there, so they're aware of us. And I'm finding that more and more families, they don't want their child to go from a really robust transition program at their school and then go to a site-based day program where they sit around a lot inside a building. So we've gotten a lot of interest, and we have some people actually that were lined up to start with us in June when they graduate from school. Yeah. And now we're not quite sure what's going to happen with that due to COVID-19, but we do have some people waiting to join us, and we just grow accordingly. So for each 3 people who want to come to our program, we add an instructor, and we add some volunteer activities to our repertoire.
Great. So they're asking what types of computer training is offered, and that's from Renga.
Our computer training is mostly like being able to enter a resume for like a job, maybe opportunity or interest of the client. So if they would like to train with somebody that's giving the question, I think that's on weekends. Cindy, do you think we would be interested in something like that?
Well, I think as we said, we grow as needed. So if we had somebody who came to us that wanted to learn computers, we would find that activity for them, either in a community-based class or one of our instructors that would be a good trainer. We would add that to our training curriculum. Right now, we don't have a lot of interest, but the group that is interested, they go to the library, they use the library computers, and they're learning to submit their resumes. So we're very flexible. If somebody came to us with those desires, we would adjust ourselves to meet the need.
That's a good question. I have somebody else from the chat, and they want to know, is it possible for LSA to provide a service program after the program till around 5 p.m. for working parents? Cindy, can you answer that one?
Well, that's something we hadn't considered. We could consider that. We haven't gone in that direction yet, but if we had a big enough need, we might be able to discuss that.
Okay, and this is probably a good time to share with you the contact information for Abby and Cindy. If you can't get all of your question out, or you have to leave us before time, you're more than welcome to reach out to them. Also, these are all of our platforms on which you can visit, ask questions, and of course, info@lsahomes.org is available to anyone who just wants to ask a general question. So I'm going to try to get through a couple more of these. Someone asked also in the chat, says, when you say you're flexible with growing according to interest of participants, I'd say that's person-centered programming. So it sounds like it's a comment, not necessarily a question. But would you agree, Cindy? Is it a person-centered programming that you guys focus on?
That definitely everything we try to do is person-centered. In a group of 3, of course, you have to take your turns getting your choices, but that's how we operate, is person-centered.
Absolutely. So someone's asking in the Q&A, how many current participants, and then what's your plan for future growth?
Abby, we have 16?
Yeah, 16 as of now. And
yeah, and we are planning. We were anticipating 2 or 3 in June.
actually, yeah, I think 4. It was about
4.
About 4, I believe.
We're growing slowly, I would say, but I'm certainly, a lot of the service coordinators have come out to visit our program because I don't think we were that well known. Service coordinators have come out to see what we do, and they have been recommending us to families. So we've had a lot of interest. I don't think we want to grow too fast, but to keep our quality up. But like I said, for each 3 people that we accept, we just add 1 group.
Sure, and that makes total sense. I'm gonna ask a question from the Q&A again. And this one is CITP a part-time as well as a full-time program?
Oh, that's a good question, because we are pretty flexible. We have some people, well, one person who goes to college classes 4 days a week. And so he started with us just on Fridays. And so we can be pretty flexible along those lines. So it could be full-time and it could be part-time. But if you were to come full-time, it's 6 hours a day, 5 days a week.
Great. So are you familiar with any similar programs to yours in the East Bay?
East Bay. No, I think I used to work in the East Bay, but I'm totally out of touch now. So I would check with Regional Center of the East Bay and ask them what they have available.
Okay. Let's ask, what kind of volunteer sites is CITP looking to partner with?
I believe we're trying to partner with volunteering sites that have meaning to the participants' day-to-day activities and something that they can gain from that volunteering site as well.
The Triton Museum offers so many opportunities because we can do indoor work, outdoor work. The volunteer coordinator out there is wonderful, that she gets to know our participants and their skill levels and their interests, and she finds them activities to do that really help them to grow. So I would say a site where there might be a variety of different tasks to do, so people at different levels would have something to contribute. And like Abby said, if it has meaning, like we're giving back to the community somehow, I think we appreciate those a lot. Like the senior center, where we're helping to serve the seniors. I think that gives our participants a good feeling of giving.
That's awesome. So I know that this has been answered. I'm just acknowledging, and I want to make sure. Someone already asked about transitioning from a traditional on-site day program to a community-based program. I'm going to mark that as answered. But if it's not, or it wasn't exhaustive, and anyone has more questions, feel free to put that back into the Q&A. Is there a wait list? Is the next question typically?
There's no official wait list. I think that we deal with people one-to-one when they come to us. Usually we get a call and we start that process of having them come out and have a look around. Sometimes people do have to wait. We had somebody who joined us last year that needed a one-to-one, and we had to find that staff person before we could bring her on board. And that did take us a while. Not only is it typically hard to find good staff out there, but then they have to go through a process of being hired, which includes fingerprint clearance and health screening and training. So it takes a little while to get somebody started, but there is no wait list.
Great. And I'm going to go ahead and end the poll right now and just share with you these results. Quite a few people want to hear more about services. Soon, we'll end up having some dialogue and possibly even another webinar about our services, as well as SLS, so supported living. So stay tuned for that. The next question for our panel is it possible to explore some high school, college student volunteers to pair with participants to learn or play through learning apps on the iPad/computer for fun and learning at the same time? This can be built in as regular activity, since some participants do need long-term practice to learn.
Hmm.
Did you guys understand that question? Can I read it again?
I think I understand it. It's just a complicated question to answer.
Sure.
I
I think they want.
think we would love to have the right volunteers to do that. Somebody who would be reliable, because to bring on a volunteer, we pretty much have to go through the same process we do to hire a staff. So they have to be fingerprint cleared and have a health screening, and so yes, for the right person, that would be wonderful.
Great. And I want to encourage the person who asked this question, we can see it in the chat, to go ahead and use these resources to send in more information or what your ideas and what you're thinking. We are not adverse to innovation at LSA, and we cherish and welcome thoughts from the community. So the next question is, can participants get to shop needs while doing mall visit instead of just window shopping?
I believe that they can, but it has to be as a group activity. It can't necessarily only be focused on that participant as well. So if everybody was to agree on a shopping day that all 3 participants were going to shop from the same area, or maybe divided into the week, maybe that could be possible that they can do their shopping as well.
Sure.
I'd actually prefer that to window shopping, because one of my pet peeves is I don't like people just hanging out in the mall for no good reason. If you have shopping you need to do, that's a good activity to work into the schedule, as opposed to just hanging out and looking in windows.
Yeah. So the next question is, how is CITP integrated with the clients in your LSA homes? So I think this is a COVID-19 program question, and I think it's asking about those who are.
If they're LSA residents, then they're doing different types of activities in a home setting, because we're not allowed to leave our homes, except that they're doing little things like walking in their neighborhood or going out in their own backyard and using the trampoline, or or gardening, those types of things.
A basketball court as well.
Yeah, so we're maintaining the 6-foot distance, social distancing that we have to do, and it's the best we can do. We're coming up with as many activities as they would like to participate in. If it's not an LSA, did we lose the group? No. If it's not an LSA participant, then they're not interacting with the LSA residents at all.
Sure, that makes sense. And we can still hear and see you.
Okay.
I wanted to add a comment there, and this kind of comes back to my introductory comment about Cypress. So I guess an example might be that, someone's very interested in a vegetable garden, and when they're in the CITP program, they enjoy going to the places where they're doing gardening or yard work. Well, where that might integrate back into home is recognizing this and having a garden at home where that person can take the initiative that they want to actively participate in selecting what vegetables to raise, planting them, and taking care of them. So I think there's a lot of opportunities for continuing that skill development or expression. And the key thing is, of course, have those conversations be connected and ongoing.
Great. So, next question is, it sounds like you don't have a site. What happens when it rains or is very hot? Where does the group go for lunch and activity after lunch?
Want to grab that one, Abby?
Yeah, so what was the question again, Hadaya?
Yeah, it sounds like you don't have a site. What
Okay.
happens when it rains or is very hot? Where does the group go for lunch and the activity after lunch?
And the activity after lunch. So if it's really hot outside, it would be either a shaded area or maybe in indoor place that they can actually have lunch from. It could probably be a food court or something like that, or a place where it could be like a Starbucks or something like that as well, setting where there's like tables for lunch, like lunchtime areas. Outdoors, that's when it's like raining. When it's hot, it could be just shaded areas as well. And then after, it would be like a typical activity that they would choose from after lunch. It could either be an indoor activity or an outdoor, depending on like we said, the weather.
Great. And then, oh, go ahead, Cindy.
Well, many of our activities have indoor or outdoor options. For example, at the library, if the weather's nice, we can do outdoor picking up the lot and things like that. But if the weather's bad, we can always go to the library and do indoor work. So the staff are pretty savvy at controlling those
Activity.
those weather and activities. Yes.
Right.
Okay. And so the last question is, we are at a different adult program that also has community-based program after 2:30. Will your CITP be the equivalent of the typical adult day program or the community-based program? Could a client attend a regular ADP followed by your CITP?
Well, we don't currently have a CITP after hours, after 2:30. So that would, unless we developed one, no, and I'm not sure that the regional center would fund 2-day programs for the same individual. That I guess you'd have to discuss that with your service coordinator.
Okay.
This is Dana. I just wanted to add a comment to the previous conversation of activities. I have a membership in the good old days. Once in a while, would get to the gym to ride bikes at noon, and I went to the city sports over by the office, and I sat down on my bike and I started pedaling away, and I looked to my left and there was Abby and 3 participants in the next 4 bikes, all looking at me, waving. And it turns out, and unbeknownst to me, that their leisure activity was to go to city sports and ride bikes for an hour after lunch. So I saw them firsthand out in the community, and they saw me. So I think that's a good example of an activity, healthy activity that they were doing together, and they were all smiling like crazy.
So that concludes our presentation today. We got one more, and I think we just have an anonymous attendee also would like to know. Thank you, Dana. Does participants need the gym membership to use the gym? That's a really good question.
Well, we have a unique something set up, right, Abby?
Right.
where they share?
Okay, so the gym membership is like we provide the member the payment plan for them. They do, one of the participant would be the main person along with a guest coordinating as like having a guest pass for the people that they're in a group with. So they're able to participate in that gym membership as well.
So we're getting a deal somehow where we buy one membership and they get to bring 2 or 3 people with them.
Yeah.
And so that's how we're doing that.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for everyone who's joined us today. We are very excited about our CITP program and proud of all of our employees and of course the participants who've joined us. I'd like to, on behalf of Life Services Alternatives, extend a big thank you for joining us today. And then, you know what, I would like to request, if you have any more questions or anything that you want to share with us, that you would reach out to us at info@lsahomes.org, or you can reach out to Abigail, who runs the program, is the program administrator for CITP. That's adiaz@lsahomes.org, or Cindy, who's our program director. You can reach her at C Hill, so C is in cat, Hill at lsahomes.org. And then of course, Dana Hooper. He is our executive director. And you're welcome to reach out to him at dhooper@lsahomes.org. And if you have any more questions for me, especially regarding the webinar itself and getting copies, or even if you want to see the slides, you can reach out to me at hfain@lsahomes.org. So yeah, thank you so much for joining us today. This webinar has been great. Thank you to our panelists. And we're looking forward to seeing you at our next webinar. Take care, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.